Guns continue to boom across India and Pakistan border in Kashmir. For the fifth day running, Pakistan violated ceasefire in the Jammu region on Tuesday. These are visuals of the damage caused in the Arispura and Arnia sector. At least 6 people are reportedly injured in the shelling which has been on since last Friday. Hundreds of villages along the border have been deserted due to the non-stop shelling. Schools in a 5-kilometer radius have been closed. People have been evacuated. Meanwhile, India has decided to send a delegation to Pakistan to participate in the anti-terrorism conference being held in Islamabad. Yes, you heard it right. An anti-terrorism conference in Islamabad, and India is participating. The 3-day conference is being held under the banner of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Pakistan had joined the organization in 2017, and this is the first time Islamabad is hosting the event. Legal experts from 8 member states of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization regional anti-terrorist structure will meet from Wednesday. Apart from China, India and Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan are members of the organization.
We are fighting the war against them. If the military aid starts to degrade our effort to fight the war on terror.
And on this, I am joined by my colleague Aisha Sindhu from Newsroom. Aisha, tell me, isn't it ironical that when hard positions are taken domestically and somehow you have to meet those multilateral commitments, it becomes totally, or I would say very, very difficult for any political dispensation to reconcile the sort of domestic feelings which are far more tuned to the internal political affairs. But on the other hand, you have these commitments.
Right. I'll pick up from that word ironic that you use, Karthikeyan, because there are multiple ironies at play over here. Let's not forget that Pakistan, of all the countries, is choosing to host this dialogue on peace, and India is participating, of course, under the aegis of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which both countries have recently become members of. In addition, just shortly earlier this week, Pakistan was the one that pled with India asking for a ceasefire along the line of control because it suffered heavy casualties, and now it's responded in this manner, causing untold damage on the Indian side of the border. This is also the holy month of Ramzan, and it just goes to show that there is, when it comes to hostilities between India and Pakistan, it seems that only one country is willing to keep up its end of the bargain and play the bigger brother role, if you will, in this partnership, and that is clearly India. An 8-month-old infant was one of the victims in this latest ceasefire violation. So it just goes to show the level to which Pakistan has dropped, when it comes to engagement between India and Pakistan, specifically, of course, along the line of control.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you for this update. So my colleague Aisha Sindhu telling us, yes, the irony is the fact that the Indian official will be there tomorrow, but the fact of the matter is that there's a ceasefire violation which is taking place at the international border. A lot of people have died, a lot of civilians have died. 9 people have been killed and 65 seriously injured after a month-long protest demanding the closure of the Vedanta Sterlite copper unit in Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu. The protest turned violent. Agitators were seen pelting stones and toppling police vehicles upon being restrained from marching towards the Vedanta plant. Section 144 prohibiting the gathering of more than 5 people has been imposed around Sterlite plant in accordance with the orders of the Madras High Court to provide security to the plant. Police says the deaths have occurred due to stone pelting and denied firing at the protesters. Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu has appealed for peace among people in the wake of protests in Tuticorin. Palniswamy said that there were 20,000 people who took out a rally towards Sterlite Company and towards Collector's Office, and some indulged in violence. Tamil Nadu government has said it will take all necessary legal action on the issue. And this whole protest has also been joined by actor turned politicians. Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant have strongly spoken on the violence which has rocked Tuticorin. And it's akin, if not similar, to what happened in Nandigram, where there was protest against building up of a plant because the farmers' consensus did not exist. And here again, you have a popular protest by people because they don't feel stakeholders. And this protested against the pollution and the people who live in the town of Tuticorin were protesting that the plant which has been built by the company was polluting the neighborhood. And on this issue, I am joined by my colleague Molly from the newsroom. Molly, can you just elaborate on the story?
Well, Karthikeyan, extremely tense situation that is unfolding in Tuticorin in India's southern state of Tamil Nadu. Tuticorin, or Tutukudi as it's called, 9 people have lost their lives in those clashes that have been taking place between the protesters and the police personnel. Several have been left injured. Let's just take a step back and look at what the protest is all about. There are members of the civil society, also some members of a wide range of political parties who have been gathering, but specifically this is a people's movement as it's been called, as protesters have been marching or trying to march towards the district collector's office against the unit of Sterlite Limited. Why are they protesting? They're saying that the presence of that unit and the expansion of the activities of Sterlite Limited have led to serious health concerns in the region. They're saying the water in the area is being contaminated because of the presence of those operations, and which is why they're up in arms against the company, but also against the authorities who have given those permissions for those activities to be carried out in the first place. Now, the plan earlier, Karthikeyan, was for these protesters to march all the way to the district collector's headquarters, but they were all the more angered after they were not allowed to carry out those marches, and then resulted in stone pelting as well. But at the same time, the police personnel, Karthikeyan, had to resort to lathi charging, use of tear gas shells, violent protests that have been witnessed, clashes between police personnel and protesters, which have left 9 people killed. Let's also tell you a political contour also when it comes to these protests, as after the escalation of the protests, there have been several angry reactions coming in from...
I'd like to stop because I'm also being joined by Saravanan Annadurai, leader of the DMK from Tamil Nadu. Mr. Annadurai, could this tragic event been avoided? The firing which took place there?
No question of being avoided. This is cold-blooded murder. This kind of a massacre has never happened in the state of Tamil Nadu. For the protecting one single company, I can't imagine that the government would sponsor this violence so that one company would survive. They have been peacefully protesting for 100 days. And how could this happen? If the provocation has not come from it is pre-planned by the Tamil Nadu State Police. We have seen in the Jallikattu protest how the men in uniform set fire to vehicles, set fire to houses, and let loose violence. And a similar thing has happened there. The trigger-happy cops have they've bloodied their hands.
Okay, thank you.
Whoever has been responsible for this should be brought to book.
Okay, thank you.
Should be slapped on them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saravanan, for giving us this update, saying that the government of Tamil Nadu mishandled this protest the way the Jallikattu protests were mishandled. But nonetheless, there will be investigation. 9 people have lost their lives in this firing which has taken place. They were protesting against a private company for the perception and for the fact that the pollution was being spread. H.D. Kumaraswamy's swearing in as the Chief Minister of Karnataka is likely to be a grand affair, as hosts of leaders opposed to BJP will converge to the capital, Bengaluru, tomorrow. His swearing in will become a venue for opposition's unity against BJP, as the possibility of grand alliance is being explored by invited parties. Sonia Gandhi has been the principal architect of this front, where the purpose is to ensure one candidate, one seat strategy against BJP in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. So, who are attending the Kumaraswamy's oath tomorrow? It's a big list. The swearing-in ceremony will be attended by UPH's Sonia Gandhi, Congress President Rahul Gandhi, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, Telangana Chief Minister Chandrasekhar Rao, actor-turned-politician Kamal Hassan, and DMK Chief Stalin will also be present during the oath-taking ceremony. The West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Lokdal founder Ajit Singh, BSP Chief Mayawati, Lalu Prasad Yadav's son and former Deputy Chief Minister Bihar Tejaswi Yadav, and former CM of Uttar Pradesh Akhilesh Yadav will also be part of the grand occasion. So This is the big list. And I'm joined by my colleague Nishchita Virendra. Nishchita, tell me, when is the swearing in tomorrow and where is the swearing in being held?
Well, the swearing-in is tomorrow at 4:30 in the evening, right at the grand steps of the historic structure of Vidhana Saudha in Bengaluru, right at the heart of the city. Close to 1 lakh people are expected, is what Kumaraswamy has gone on to state. So preparations are on. About 1,000 VVIPs are expected to be in attendance. So seating arrangements have been made for them. Apart from that, you have the entire road that will be cordoned off as they are expecting the JDS Congress cadres to come in and witness Kumaraswamy taking oath as the 25th Chief Minister of Karnataka, and hectic preparations are underway. There is a stage that is being set up right outside the Vidhana Saudha, and it is going to be a grand occasion. But in violation, they have also put up posters of Kumaraswamy all around Vidhana Saudha. As we know, Vidhana Saudha is the state secretariat. It does not belong to any particular party or individual, and hence defacing Vidhana Saudha is not permitted. But they have still gone ahead and put up posters outside, so that is drawing them some flack. But more importantly, tomorrow's oath-taking ceremony is a show of strength of sorts for the federal front. As you mentioned, Karthikeyan, you have Mamata Banerjee, who's going to be in attendance. You have Chandrababu Naidu, who was one of the first people to congratulate the JDS Congress coalition. K. Chandrasekhar Rao will not be coming in. He already met with H.D. Devegowda today. And we are also hearing that because of the Tuticorin protests that 9 people have been killed, that the DMK leader, M.K. Stalin, might also not attend.
Thank you, Nishchita. Thank you for this update. We'll come to you. And this is one mega event which is being planned. Yes, there might be a couple of absentees at the last minute. But the fact that so many opposition leaders are there just goes on to show that how Lok Sabha elections of 2019 in India have become very, very interesting. Now, the Indian government today notified a draft passenger charter defining rights for air passengers, through which passengers will be given benefits and will be compensated if the airline is found to be at fault. According to the charter, if delay is for more than 4 hours, the airlines will offer an option of full refund of ticket to the passenger. Also, if delay involves a flight to fly on the next day, the airline will offer additional free of charge hotel accommodation.
If the flight is delayed, then again passengers are going to be compensated in various ways. If the flight is delayed for more than 4 hours, the airlines have to offer an option for a full refund of the ticket. If it involves a flight on the next day, then you have to provide a hotel stay with no additional charge. And if there are connecting flights that are missed, then you get compensation for those as well. What we are proposing is that the ticket can be cancelled without any charges. The ticket can be cancelled without any charges for 24 hours, provided you do that 96 hours before flight departure. So 96 hours before flight departure, if you cancel your ticket within a 24-hour time period, you do not have to pay any cancellation charge.
And I'm joined by my colleague Sumit Chaturvedi from Newsroom. Sumit, too good to sound true? Any loopholes, or in toto these new announcements will be implemented?
Well, Karthikeyan, this has been now, in coming for a long time. Before that, the flyers were at the mercy of airlines only. Now, these draft rules have been released today. They will become the rules within 1 to 2 months. Well, this is quite required also in current circumstances, when we hear the problems of flyers every now and then. We hear them being on the tarmac for hours and hours together before anything is served to them, or if they are deboarded. Also, cancellation is a grey area which airline till now were taking benefit of. They were making huge money because of high cancellation charges. Sometimes the flight was for 4,000 rupees, but the cancellation charges were, including everything, were for 4,500 rupees. So these circumstances have been witnessed by passengers. They were actually, we can say that, fleeced by airlines. Now it won't be there because these rules will be finalized, and this empower, we can say, the passengers. Let's say the rules, if some missing the flight is missed because of the connection, then there are rules. Also, there are rules for baggage lost and delay per kg. Will be the compensation will be given to the passengers. So a lot of things will be good for passengers going forward, because these rules have been will be finalized and would be given shape and would be on paper. Before that, their flyers were really at the mercy of airlines, and this won't be happening anymore.
Thank you. Thank you for this update, Sumit. Now, moving on the bulletin, days after Kim Jong-un confirmed that North Korea will dismantle the nuclear site, they have now opened the doors to foreign journalists to witness the closure of the facility on Mount Mantap. The shutdown of the Punjuri nuclear facility is expected to take place in the next 2 to 3 days. North Korea's foreign ministry invited journalists from China, Russia and the United States, the United Kingdom and South Korea to fly on a charter aircraft from Beijing to witness what they call a historic ceremony. North Korea decided to scrap the test site as a confidence-building measure. The offer came just days before the historic summit between North and South Korea. The closure of the testing facility marks the end of the world's last active underground testing site. The development comes days ahead of the North Korean leaders meeting with United States President Donald Trump.
This is Wonsan's Kalmar Airport. We haven't had much time here processing a huge amount of luggage that we've brought in. We're going to go to the Kalmar Hotel. We don't know when we're going to get on the train to go to the nuclear test site. But this is really the arrival of the foreign media group flown in from Beijing just today, and then the start of this journey to North Korea's nuclear test site. Raphael Wober, Associated Press Television News, Wonsan, North Korea.
And I'm joined by my senior editor from Newsroom, Surya Gangadharan. Surya, one of the most interesting aspects has been that the rhetoric, strong language and complete unpredictability in the way the top at both the Pyongyang and the Washington is speaking about each other and speaking with each other. But despite all that, it's being said that the talks will happen. How is this? What is making it possible?
Well, I think there's an element of history here. If the two leaders do meet on June the 12th, it is history being made, and like it or not, I'm sure both sides are aware of that. They're probably working towards it. The rhetoric that we've seen so far is indicative of the personalities of both people, you know. Both Trump and Kim Jong-un are unpredictable. They are strong-headed, and they tend to move in ways that many of us here don't understand or are unaware of. So they can shock, and that adds to the uncertainty. But I do believe that both the meeting will go ahead and both sides are aware of what they are doing.
Thank you, Surya. Thank you for this update. Now, moving on in the bulletin, the Facebook CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, will appear before the members of the European Parliament in a couple of hours from now. The hearing has been scheduled to question Zuckerberg's misuse of Facebook user data by Cambridge Analytica that affected up to 87 million users. The European Union has clearly stated that the Zuckerberg owes an explanation to 2.7 million EU citizens who have been affected by the data sharing scandal. What is to note here is that Zuckerberg's public hearing with the European Parliament is taking place days before the EU goes on to introduce new tough data protection rules. The EU's General Data Protection Regulation, which comes into effect on May 25th, aims to give users more control over how their personal information is stored and used online. It will also penalize companies with big fines if they are found to be breaking the rules. Zuckerberg's hour-long meeting with Parliament's most senior members was initially set to be held behind closed doors, but it will now be live-streamed. We are yet to see if the European lawmakers would give Zuckerberg a grilling similar to his 10-hour interrogation in US Congress last month. And I'm joined by Jack Parrott from Brussels. Jack, my question to you is that what are the questions which are being really expected by the parliamentarians, lawmakers, and what would they like to know from Zuckerberg in context of Europe?
Well, there's a lot that these members of the European Parliament are going to want to ask Mark Zuckerberg, but we've only got an hour and a half for them to put their questions to him, which is nowhere near the same length as the two-day US congressional hearing that we saw last month. Remember, a lot of those US politicians were criticised for not grilling Mark Zuckerberg well enough and not being well enough researched about the issues. And that's been very well aware here in Europe, and there's a lot of pressure on these politicians to make sure they stick some major questions to him. That's what the European civil society has been asking for, and they want to ask essentially where Facebook has been getting its money from, especially regarding political campaigning on the platform. How much money has been coming from different political parties paying for their adverts to try and influence elections? That's going to be a real key issue today. And they're also going to want to ask Mark Zuckerberg how prepared Facebook is for the incoming General Data Protection Regulation, which comes in only on Friday. And last month, when he was in that congressional hearing in the United States, he a photograph was taken of a piece of paper that his notes were on, saying that they essentially weren't quite ready yet. So there'll be a lot of questions put to that. How ready is Facebook to deal with this sweeping data protection piece of legislation that's coming in?
Jack, you know, for example, when the controversy woke for India and United States of America, the issue was the sanctity of the elections, the sanctity of the electoral processes. Is that too a concern in Europe?
It certainly is. That's exactly the question. How is Facebook influencing that, and how is the platform dealing with ensuring that sort of the political spectrum is sort of well represented, and that there aren't these echo chambers, that there are no algorithms, and also who's paying what, which political sort of groups are paying what for their advertising? This is incredibly important as well, and the European Union is very keen to be aware of this, with European elections coming up only about a year away from now, and also some pretty key elections in other parts of Europe, including in Ireland, where Facebook for a long time has held its HQ.
So the bottom line is that, Jack, that all these questions, when asked, will they be televised? Is this something which will be available for people to see? Or are they planning to do it closed door or divided into 2 sessions?
Yeah, initially this hearing was going to be held closed door, and the European Parliament was heavily criticised from every corner of the political spectrum, essentially, saying that this needs to be a public hearing like it was in the United States. And then we saw a tweet from the European Parliament President, Antonio Tajani, saying that Mark Zuckerberg had agreed now for it to be public. So there will be a keen eye on this hour-and-a-half meeting. And the thing is because Mark Zuckerberg spoke so much in front of the US congressional hearing, this really isn't only about his credibility. This now is about the credibility of the European politicians. How much do they know about these issues that affect their citizens, that are all, like many of them, users of Facebook? And how much can they question this CEO?
Absolutely. Very well put, Jack. It's also about the questions which will be put up to Mark Zuckerberg. But this is all in this edition of Dispatch. News and other stories will continue on the other side.